Osio Halito, how y'all doing? I am rested up and refreshed. All right. This is part 2 of the Indigenous Herstory month. We doing a special on women chiefs. All right. So now the previous video I did touch on my great cousin, Chief Cockacoeske or Cockacoeske, who was the Weroancesqua, the queen of Pamunkeys. All right. She became the chief after her husband, Toto Patomoy, was killed in the Battle of Bloody Run. All right. So this is an article that I wrote on my website. My website is rrjxitips.com. All right. So if you go to my blog session, all right, my blog section, all right, this is my website. If you go up here to blog, all right, go up here to blog, then it will show you my blog entries, all right. Woman chief of my bloodline ancestry, which is Weroancesqua Chief Cockacoeske, all right. She became the chief after her husband died in the Battle of Bloody Run. I also did an article on my 12 times great aunt Pocahontas, Matawaka Pocahontas Powhatan. All right. Chief WeroansquaCockacoeske is a descendant of my 12 times great grandfather, who is war chief, once a paramount chief of the Powhatan tribe, Ope Chinkana. All right. So she is also a descendant. All right. But she became chief after her husband was killed in the Battle of Bloody Run. All right. All right. So I'm just going to read this over and we're going to focus on this. And then later we're going to get into another powerful chief of the Tsalagi, the Cherokee Nation, all right, which is Wilma Mankiller, okay? So first I'm going to get this one, all right? So woman chief of my bloodline ancestry, WeroansquaCockacoeske, queen of Pamunkey, Powhatan, all right? She comes from the great royal, powerful Powhatan bloodline, all right? So a couple pictures. This is the mantle of Chief Powhatan, all right? My great grandfather's brother, all right? This is her. Okay, let's make them a little bigger, all right? This is her in her regalia. She is beautiful. Beautiful. I love it. I love it. I love the tattoos. And I have actually that genetic DNA memory. I have done this when I've put on my war paint, my indigenous paint, all right, on my face. But I love this because it has the seal, the mantle of Chief Powhatan in the background. And so instead of the man in the middle, she's in the middle. So somebody kind of like did this. They added the two together. They blended the picture. And so I borrowed it because I really like it. All right. It's really nice. But this is my great cousin, Weroancesqua. Weroancesqua is female chief, female leader. Okay. Female chief, female leader. All right. This is her. what she did was, after her husband died in that Battle of Bloody Run, um, most of the scattered tribes and the tribes that were part of the Powhatan chiefdom, basically, she dealt with them. She was considered Queen of Pamunkey. All right, and she ruled for 30 years. Now, when the big brother, Chief Powhatan, when he was in office, or the paramount chief, he had 30 tribes that was in his chiefdom. All right. And then his brother, my great grandfather, 12 times great grandfather, he had 6 tribes. All right. So the English settler invaders were encroaching in, and they were stealing land. Okay. And fighting. So a lot of the tribes were really like battling and resisting. And so the Pamunkey and the Mattaponi tribes were 2 of the ones that really resisted, and they still have their reservations today. All right. The Pamunkey have a lot of Powhatan chiefdom Indians descendants. All right. So this is her after she was reigning peacefully for about 30 years. Then this guy, Bacon, he's an asshole. He was an asshole because he wanted this governor of now Virginia. He wanted this governor to drive out all the Indian tribes. And when he didn't get what he wanted, he started a rebellion. All right. And so she negotiated with them to get extra protection. They didn't have as many warriors as they used to have. The Powhatan chiefdom, the federation, was really great in number, powerful, was a force to be fucking reckoned with, okay? But as it dwindled down and the scattered tribes, they merged with other tribes, all right? And so a Powhatan descendant, she merged into the Pamunkey tribe, all right? Now, she signed this treaty. Now, the treaties, I'm going to break it down. Because she put a clause in the treaty, which I really got to speak on. She put a clause in there saying that women and men chiefs are equal. They are equal in power. No one is more powerful than the other one. The only person they have to answer to and pay tribute to is her, Queen of Pamunkey, who is WeroansquaCockacoeske. All right. Now this is her. They did this monument of her holding the treaty. All right, in the signatures. All right. Cockacoeske became the Queen of Pamunkey after her husband Totopotamoy death in 1656, fighting as an ally of the English at what became known as the Battle of Bloody Run. She signed the Treaty of Middle Plantation in 1677. So that treaty that she was holding is the Treaty of Middle Plantation. All right, it has another alias name too, but she signed that in 1677 in the wake of settler attacks upon friendly Indian tribes during Bacon's Rebellion. In 1676, the treaty with the English subtly placed Cockacoeske as leader over certain tribes, defined the Indian tribes as tributaries, all right, to the English, and ushered in a peaceful relations between the colonists, the invaders, and the Indians of Virginia, coastal plain. She reigned until her death about 1686. All right. And this is talking about when the asshole Nathan Bacon and his rebellion, when they fought. All right. when they tried to raid. All right. It says, although the Pamunkey Indians had been allies of the Virginia colonists since 1646, early in 1676, they were driven from their main town on the Pamunkey River by sympathizers of insurrectionist Nathaniel Bacon, and took refuge in Dragon Run Swamp. So they ran for cover, and they hid in Dragon Run Swamp. In August, Bacon's forces searched for tribal leader WeroansquaCockacoeske there, capturing an old woman identified as her nurse, whom they really tried to get out of her where they were at, and she did not snitch. All right, she did not snitch. In this aspect, this was a good thing because my ancestors, some of the original Indians of the area of Virginia, they were peaceful, loving people who knew how to defend themselves. All right. They was respected. All right. So she didn't give up her people, this nurse. All right. So they killed the nurse. So RIP to the nurse. They killed her after she deliberately misled them. Like, she led them astray. She led them somewhere else where the members of the tribe were not at. So Bacon then found the Pamunkey and attacked, killing 7 and capturing another 45. Cockacoeske escaped into the swamp and hid for 2 weeks. Emerging almost starved, the tribe returned to the town after Bacon's death in October. So after he died from disease, but they returned back to their tribal land. All right. And so this is just talking about her husband. All right. Cockacoeske's husband. He was a descendant of, he was also a Powhatan. All right. He took over after my 12 times great grandfather. You had there's a name, I believe it's Narrowance, but then you have Tlvdatsi, chief of the Pamunkey Indians, faithful ally of the English, killed in the Battle of Bloody Run near Richmond, 1754, blah, blah, blah. They talking about, okay. Now, Battle of Tlvdatsi preceding Cold Harbor. All right. So this is, and then it talks about the Battle of Bloody Run. Nearby is the site where Chief Tlvdatsi of the Pamunkey died in 1656. The English colonist invaders had become concerned over the recent settlement nearby of the Rico Hawkins. I believe that's what that says. It's kind of blurry. Along the falls of the James River. They called upon Tlvdatsi to assist in removing these people. An English force led by Colonel Edward Hill, along with Tlvdatsi and his men, fought in this. They fought these people. I believe they called them Westo Indians. They were trying to invade. In 1656. All right. Tlvdatsi and many of his men were killed, and the event became known as the Battle of Bloody Run. The Council of Virginia later censured Hill for his lack of leadership. So, yeah. And I added this because this is a good book recommendation. It talks about the dark Indians that were misclassified and named the misnomer Black or African. I went over the census rolls were only two choices, white or colored. So all the dark Indians were labeled as colored. All right. This was in Virginia. Dealing with Walter Plecker and the eugenics movement, the white supremacists. All right. They only had two classifications on the census rolls. Either you were white or colored. So that caused a lot of inner racism between the dark Indians. Some of them got with white people, and it was forbidden to mix with the white people and the colored people. Okay, they came up with these rules until this court case, loving something. Well, after that case happened, everybody could freely marry who the fuck they wanted to marry, but that the blood stay pure. The eugenics assholes and the white supremacist ones, they wanted to, in their eyes, keep their white race pure by not mixing with the Indians, the colored people, because on the first couple years of the census rolls, it was only white or colored. Okay, they added Indian and mulatto later. Okay, so this is a good book reference for you to look at. Okay, now all right, I'm gonna read this. My great cousin Chief Cockacoeske became Weroancesqua, queen of the Pamunkeys, descendant of my 12 times great grandfather Ope Chinkana. She has been described as majestic, dignified, and diplomatic. The colonizer invaders also called her Queen Anne. And Queen of the Pamunkeys. After her husband Toto Poitamoi was killed in the Battle of Bloody Run, he was the last chief of the Powhatan Federation Chiefdom Nation. Note, her first husband, Toto Poitamoi, and then Toby West, was the son of this other guy that she got with, Thomas West. All right, her second husband, or her second man. Okay. Now it says Toby's first cousin, Colonel John West, son of Governor John West, the brother of Governor Thomas and sons of Thomas West, second or 11th Baron de la War. So that's extra information. All right. Various tribes scattered due to having numerous battles with invaders. Cockacoeske ruled for 30 years somewhat peacefully until Bacon's Rebellion. At a meeting, Cockacoeske loudly spoke that Toto Poitamoi was dead. All right. She said it in her native tongue. Tata Patamwa Chipiak. Because they were trying to get her to send warriors to help them. The Virginia governor and settlers, they wanted her to send her warriors to help them in their little cause. And she was upset and she screamed that her husband was dead. Okay, after they tried to make her honor pre-treaty obligations of sending more Indian warriors to help government officials of now stolen Virginia. WeroansquaCockacoeske, Queen of Pamunkey Nation, signed a treaty of Middle Plantation. Articles of Peace is the other name of it. With the now Virginia governor, and Cockacoeske put a clause in the treaty. She put a clause in there, like, okay, if I gotta bow down a little bit, y'all gonna respect me. All right. She put some respect on my name. All right. So in Article 12, which stated that each Indian king and queen have equal power to govern their own people, and none have greater power than the other, except the Queen of Pamunkey herself, to whom several scattered Indian nations do now again own their ancient subjection. This ancient subjection was an allusion to the power states created and sustained by Powhatan and Opechancanough, and historians believe that the several scattered nations Cockacoeske claimed as tributary were the Chickahominy and the Rappahannocks, perhaps also the Chiskayex, Totachus, and Matapones. 3 other local Indian groups joined the treaty by 1780. But some of the Chickahominies and the Rappahannocs did not truly want to follow or bow down to a female chief, Weroansqua's woman chief, Cockacoeske. They claimed that she had some of their warriors or members killed, which I believe that was a lie. They just didn't want to bow down to her and pay tribute. They were disrespectful. All right. So this is just an excerpt from Find a Grave. It was only after strong promises of better treatment by the colonists that Queen Anne, who is Weroancesqua Cockacoeske, she agreed to provide the needed assistance. Following the end of the rebellion, a silver headband or coronet inscribed Queen of Pamunkey was presented to her by King Charles II. All right. She got this silver like medal. All right. But in that meeting, when she was going off on them, and she was like, her husband is dead, and his warriors, some of his warriors that died with him were dead, and they have not received any compensation. So she was pissed. She turned her head a couple of times and ignored them. They kept asking her, we need some more warriors to help us. And after she spoke her piece, she just turned her head. This was in an article that I read. I'll have to pull it up or just post it. But she turned her head like, y'all heard what I said. But later, after they just promised and promised better treatment, she agreed, all right, for their, to send some warriors, okay, for them. And then they signed this treaty. The treaty of Middle Plantation, also called Articles of Peace. And these, the rebellious, some of the Chickahominy and the Rappahannock rebellious people, they weren't really excited about another clause that was in this article that says that these foreign settlers, these foreign English settlers, were going to be in arbitration of Indian affairs. They didn't like that. Which is kind of, fucked up, because we don't need them in our affairs, they felt, okay? But they still should have honored the Queen of Pamunkeys. All right. So, and then this is just a little video that I did on it, and I was really sleepy. I did it like at 5 in the morning. I had been up all day. So the video, I'm kind of yawning, but I speak on it. I read some excerpts and everything. I show some pictures. So, and I briefly touch on Wilma Mankiller of the Cherokee tribe. So, y'all check that out. All right. So, this was she's not a chief, but she's the daughter of a chief. So I did this article. Also, yes, Mato Aka Pocahontas Powhatan is my 12 times great aunt. So these are some articles I did on my website, on my little blog. It's a little blog, okay? So I got various sources, and then some of the things I put it in my own words. I broke it down, all right? So all right, so if anybody in the future would like to get any of my artisan items crafted by me, get at me, or you would like a life path session or spirituality session, get at me. Go to my website, rrjxitips.com. You will go to this contact page and fill out everything. All right. You will fill it all out and make sure you read everything. All right. So that's just an overview. All right. So all right, now we are going to focus on Wilma Mankiller of the Cherokee Nation. She was another woman chief. All right, so let's pull her up. All right. All right. Let's look at this one. All right. The life of Wilma Mankiller, first woman to serve as principal chief of the Cherokee Nation. All right. Now, Wilma Mankiller was a national icon. Her visionary, principled leadership set a standard for generations of women to follow, reminding us to challenge the status quo and to overcome barriers for the betterment of our neighbors, communities, and nation. She worked to create jobs, break down social and economic barriers, improve access to health care, and address the roots of both rural and urban poverty, leading her people with dignity and grace, a trailblazer in Oklahoma and American history. Her inspirational life and transformative leadership continues to inspire us today. All right. So it says she was one of 11 children. Wilma Mankiller was born in 1945 in Tahlequah and raised in Mankiller Flats, Oklahoma, on land hard earned by the resilient people who had endured a long, tumultuous history. Growing up, young Mankiller learned a love of the land and of her Cherokee identity. When she was 10, the federal government relocated her family from Mankiller Flats to a poverty stricken area of San Francisco. All right. Alcatraz Island. All right. This is in the San Francisco Bay. All right. Reminiscent of the Cherokee Nation's forced march from their North Carolina homelands to Indian country in Oklahoma in 1838. The Mankiller's family relocation to San Francisco was part of the 1950s era. U.S. government program to terminate American Indian tribes by separating Indian people from their tribal communities. They drove our people out of their original lands and stole their lands, and then tried to put them in schools to erase the Indian and Englishize them, Christianize them. They were forced and coerced to become Christians, okay? Now, yeah, this angers me. So you hear the passion in my voice. All right. So, yeah, they wanted to separate Indian people from their tribal communities. unfamiliar surroundings, and the grief of a homeland left behind strengthened young Wilma's determination to retain her Cherokee identity and contributed to her decision to join the historic 1969 American Indian occupation of Alcatraz Island, citing a treaty, all right, that gives Native Americans the right to occupy unused land in the United States. The occupation grew to include thousands of Indian people. The movement shined an international spotlight on the trail of broken treaties because these invaders, they broke a lot of treaties, all right? All right. So, and the forcing of Native people onto reservations. Reservations are a little reserved piece of land when Great Mystery, Great Spirit, creation made Aboriginal, Indigenous, original peoples the stewards of the land, the stewards of the earth. Creation appointed us, my people, not these invaders that want to come and wreak havoc and kill and pillage and bring their diseases and steal land, misclassify us, all of that. That's not okay. All right. So she was angered by this. This was like some of her fuel. All right. So she brought up that the trail of broken treaties and the forcing of Native people onto reservations that were a fraction of their original homeland. Mankiller's time on Alcatraz ignited a flame that would guide and sustain her life's work. All right. All right. Oakland's Native American Youth Center. All right. Forever changed by Alcatraz and inspired by the women's movement, Mankiller worked to empower the Native communities surrounding her in California. Serving as director of Oakland's Native American Youth Center, she believed that restoring pride in Native heritage could reduce the downward spiral of Native youth growing up on the streets. She supported California's Pit River tribe in its legal battle against Pacific Gas and Electric over the rights to millions of acres of the tribal land. Learning practical applications of the exercise of tribal sovereignty and treaty rights, knowledge that she could bring back to her own Cherokee community. All right. In Bell, Oklahoma, in 1977, Mankiller was a single mother of two living in her car parked by a stream in Oklahoma, struggling to find employment and adapt back into her community after a 20-year absence. She landed a job as the Cherokee Nation's economic stimulus coordinator and later funded the Cherokee Nation's Community Development Department. Her first project was in Bell, Oklahoma, a small Cherokee community of 200 families with no running water, high unemployment, and a persistent sense of disempowerment. Mankiller's belief in communities' ability to work collectively for the common good enabled Bell residents to construct a 16-mile water line over a 14-month period, resulting in a full-length feature film, The Cherokee Word of Water, in 1995. All right. So check out that film. All right. Mankiller Chief Mankiller was elected principal chief of the Cherokee Nation, the first and only woman to ever achieve that office. As chief, her unsurpassed achievements in job creation, healthcare, and cultural revitalization are legendary. All right. Receiving the Presidential Medal of Freedom in Washington, D.C. in 1998. President Bill Clinton awarded Mankiller the nation's highest civilian honor, the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Her autobiography, Mankiller, A Chief in her people. I read that book. I checked it out from the Indian Center here, the library. All right. It was published in 2000. Her selection as Miss Magazine's Woman of the Year began a lifelong friendship with feminist icon Gloria Steinem, who was by her side when Mankiller died on April 6, 2010, at the age of 64. Said of her friend, ancient traditions call for setting signal fires to light the way home for the great one. Fires were lit in 23 countries after Wilma's death. The millions she touched will continue her work, but I will miss her every day of my life. All right. So this is like, a site that where women made history. They highlight powerful women. All right. I love it. I love it. Chief Wilma Mankiller, she represented. That's how you do it. So hell yes, I love it. All right, so we're gonna look at her Barbiie because they made a Barbie doll in honor of her. All right. Now, dolls are what little girls play with. I did share the story about my mother bought me a Pocahontas doll, and later in life, I find out that I'm actually related to Pocahontas, my Tawaka, Pocahontas Powhatan. I am related to her by my 12-time great grandfather. All right, through my great grandmother Elizabeth Powhatan. All right. She's my 11 times great grandmother. So I had that doll growing up. And my mother bought it for me. She was brown like me. She wore hair like me. You could have it. She had the part in the middle and it was down, or she had the two braids. And my mama always used to braid my hair. I had long hair ever since I was little. She used to give me the two braids or let me wear my hair down on special occasions. I had the headband and a feather, but the doll had a headband, a feather, the Pocahontas doll. She had on full regalia. All right, she had on full regalia. And I only got to play with her on special occasions, and she sat up on my dresser. And that does wonders for your little girl's self-esteem, having a doll that's an image that looks like them, because the doll looked like me and my grandmother on my father's side. Her indigenous genes really stand out. So that is a confidence booster for little children. So I'm going to share the Barbie that was made in honor of Wilma Mankiller. All right. All right. All right. Here she is. Barbie Inspiring Women Collectible Doll. I'm getting one. All right. Somebody can give me one too if y'all want to, because I'm going to give one to my daughter. All right. Wilma Mankiller. They should have put Principal Chief Wilma Mankiller, Cherokee Nation. They should have put that. Okay. Put some respect on her name. All right. She's in a turquoise dress, one of my favorite colors. And she has the ribbon on there. This is a traditional Anianwaya Cherokee Tsalagi dress. All right. I love it. It's beautiful. All right. This is from the Inspiring Women series. All right. They have her on there. This is a younger picture of her in her fly in her heyday. All right. All right. Wilma Mankiller, Principal Chief of the Cherokee Nation of Oklahoma, 1945 to 2010. All right. The secret of our success is that we never give up. Wilma Mankiller. All right. And it's just saying how Barbiie recognizes inspiring women, female role models. All right. And they read some of her life story that I just broke down. All right. Awesome. Awesome. So, original Indians, indigenous peoples out there, get your daughters one of these. Okay. And also go to your tribe. Like, another tribe that I have respect for, that I know is an ancient tribe of my ancestors, is the Yamasee tribe, and they make dolls. So make sure y'all tap into the Yamasee tribe of Seminoles in South Carolina. I did visit their reservation, and it was beautiful. It was awesome, awesome experience that I will never forget. I will do a video highlighting Chief Red Crow, all right, the mother of Miku Hajo, all right, Chief Hidden Eagle, all right. I will be doing a video honoring the Yamasee tribe, all right, and the key people in the Yamasee tribe, all right. A lot of Indian tribes mention the Yamasee as their ancient people, all right. So Yamasee tribe of Seminoles, make sure y'all check that out, all right. So this is, awesome, to be honored, to be honored. I love when women are honored, because when these invader English settlers came in, these invaders, they brought with them a lot of patriarchy, and they put women on the back burner. Women had a hard time getting respect. That's just like my great cousin, WeroansquaCockacoeske. Some of those tribal members of other tribes, they didn't want to respect her authority as queen of Pamunkey, and I'm sure Chief Wilma Mankiller encountered somebody that really didn't want to bow down to a woman chief. So do your research on creation. Creation was seen as a mother, all right, a mother giving birth, a pregnant mother or a mother with children, teaching the nations how to live, nurturing the nations on how to live and survive. So do some research on that. A lot of tribes, like the Powhatan tribe, they respect women. All right. Let's check this out, this site. Just a second. Just a second. All right, we're going to check out this website. Just a second. Really quick. All right. I'm going to touch on some of the spiritual practices of the Powhatan Pamunkey Indians. All right. I'm a bloodline descendant of the Powhatans. All right. I'm also a descendant of the Cherokee people, the Anianwaya, Tsalagi, Kitawagi people. All right. And their ancient people are the Yamasee. A lot of ancient peoples are mentioned in a lot of tribal history as the Yamasee or the Lenape. They are considered, the Yamasee is considered the grandmother ancient people, and the Lenape is considered the grandfather ancient people. So do a little research on that. I'm just giving you a little tips to research, okay? All right, let's check out. Let's see. All right, so tobacco was sacred. Um, let me pull this up. Let me copy this. Copy this link. All right. So I'm going to pull this up. I'm going to share some spiritual practices of my ancestors. All right. And y'all know my channel is dedicated to the spirituality and culture of my indigenous and Creole ancestors. All right. Check my resume. All right. All right. Spirits. All right. Now, this site is the encyclopediavirginia.org. Okay. Religion in early Virginia Indian society. This was before the invader English people, the white supremacists, before they came and coerced and forced our ancestors to convert to Christianity and Abrahamic religions. All right. So, this is the knowledge of religion in early Virginia Indian society. All right. So John Smith, he witnessed some of the sacred practices. All right. With deer, bow and arrows. Okay. The Powhatans of Tsinakamoko. All right. An alliance of 28 to 30 tribes and chiefdoms centered around the James, Mattapony, and Pamunkey rivers. All right. The Powhatans, they honored different aspects of creation. The mother, great mystery, the father, great spirit, and different aspects of creation. They are creators and creator. All right. So the Powhatans worshipped a number of spirits, which is just different aspects of the source. Don't get it twisted. All right. Ahoni and Oki. All right. Okay. Some men cut their hair in imitation of Oki. Now, so let me just give you this little tip. Just like you have in Christianity, you have a Jesus figure and you have a devil, a Satan. All right. In a lot of ancient religions, there's always good characters, evil characters, and then the balanced ones. All right. Even the God of one of the gods in the Bible that's mentioned said that it is creator of good and evil. Okay. So do your research. So Ahoni and Oki kind of represent the good and the benevolent Ahoni. All right. So it represents light and dark aspects. All right. There's always a hero and then a nemesis, an enemy in all of these creation stories. Okay. All right. So Ahoni, the great hair creator god, an unnamed female divinity, and the sun god. All right. So this just means that they saw these things as a representation of great mystery, great spirit. Okay. Great mystery is usually attributed to the great mother, creatress, and then great spirit, the father, creator. But in this aspect, Ahoni, okay? And the great hair creator god and an unnamed female divinity. So we're going to do some more research on the unnamed female divinity because these writers, they didn't like these English settler invaders, they didn't like to honor the feminine aspect of the creation. All right, of creator, creatures. They didn't like to honor the feminine aspect. So they're going to say, oh, an unnamed female divinity. Just like In Christianity, the unnamed female divinity is the Holy Spirit. That represents the mother creatress, because you have Father, the creatress, the mother, the Holy Spirit, the Holy Ghost, and then the Son. Okay. So do your research. See my other videos on the Enigma Solver Chronicles playlist, and I go into, deep research on that. But they mention this, all right, an unnamed female divinity and the sun god. These are just aspects of the source of all things, okay? Now, in charge of managing relations with these various spirits, these spiritual aspects of the source, were the Kawayo Kasuk, or the shamans, who lived apart from the common Powhatans and wielded the society's ultimate authority. Okay? These Quikasins, or holy temples, housed the shamans and hosted various rituals. All right? They had fires and different rituals. All right? It says, when Weroances, the chiefs, died, they were reduced to bundles of bones and for several years stored in the temples. The Powhatans also had a variety of rituals associated with eating, hunting, male initiation, and the killing of prisoners of war. All right. Smith described he was a witness of some of these rituals, and I know he didn't always understand the hidden meanings because he's an outsider. They're not going to tell him all the sacred meanings, okay? So this is on his account, all right? Smith described what appeared to be a conjuration. And on another occasion, a 3-day dance that may have been a yearly harvest festival. So he witnessed shamans doing their thing. Shamans are for the healing, the wellness of the people. Okay. They deal with spiritual things and healing of the body. All right. So now it breaks down some other things. I'm just, skipping around a little bit. All right. So it also highlights so Ahoni and Oki could be viewed as like the mother, father, and then the son. All right. Because they did offer sacrifices or offerings of tobacco, blood from animals, deer soot, and other items. Okay. Now, they say that this Oki on this account was supremely ugly, leading some early colonists to associate him with the Christian devil. So this is where they insert their little perspectives in here. Okay, this is in the Encyclopedia of Virginia. So they had to put the little devil character in there and make Oki a bad spirit or bad spiritual aspect of the creation. All right. But Ahoni, you had Ahoni, which is basically the creator, the great hair, and the great hair is the unnamed female divinity. All right. So they didn't know the name of the female divinity in the native tongue of the Powhatan peoples. All right, the Algonquin speaking Powhatan peoples. All right, so they gonna put these little, whenever you read some shit, you gotta just decipher. Keep what's relevant and throw the trash away. All right, they try to insert the Christian devil in there. All right. But like I said, in a lot of ancient spirituality systems, because I read to y'all in a previous video that the Powhatans, the Indian peoples of Virginia have been there at least 12,000 years before the English settlers, invaders arrived. Do your research. So for 12,000 plus years, our people already had a spiritual system that was honored. So here, these Johnny-come-lately English settler invaders, they come in and with their Christian perspectives and put off some of their views on our people. All right. They said Oki rules the afterworld. So the afterlife, heaven. So you see how it's conflicting. At one time they want to say Oki is the devil, and then they say Oki rules the afterworld. All right. Okay. Oki could have been a patron aspect of Great Spirit that deals with warriors, giving warrior strength, because it's associated with warfare. There is one mention of a war party carrying an effigy into battle. So they carried something that represented the warrior aspect of Great Mystery, Great Spirit with them to give them courage when they went to battle and battle these evil English settler invaders. Okay. All right. So they said basically if they disobeyed their moral code, Great Spirit could be angered. All right. If anger, famine could happen, drought, illness, and infidelity. All right. Now, then they talk about the handsome Okie. They said he was ugly. Now, this is John Smith's account of Powhatan, Virginia Indians' spirituality systems. Okay. They said the handsome Okie, by contrast, was thought to be a master of the animals. So this will be like an aspect of a shaman that can interpret the signs and the symbols, because creation uses different signs and symbols to relay messages to the peoples, and different animals meant certain things. Different plants and herbs and roots were used for certain things. So don't get it twisted. All right, a category of spirit common among American Indians. All right, it protects certain species of animals and either offers them to or withholds them from hunters. Okay, Oki was also said to have introduced the Powhatan ancestors to important cultural forms and to have created some or all of a world that they knew. All right. Another account ascribes that creation to Ahoni. Okay. That is the creator, creatress. All right. Now, the Powhatans supposedly described Ahoni to the English as a benevolent, peaceable God living in the highest reaches of the heavens, who rules all other divinities as well as the earth. Ahoni is the source of all good things, from the change of the seasons to the bountiful harvests to social harmony. And because it is its nature to provide these things, it requires no sacrifices. In fact, the Powhatans appear not to have paid him much attention at all. Okay, so this is basically one of the most positive things this article has highlighted from John Smith's account of looking at Virginia Indian spiritual practices. All right. Now, the great hare, which is an unnamed female divinity, also appears in the Patawomek creation myth. All right. So a lot of the Virginia Indians, they shared similar views of creation. When I say creation, that is the mother and the father aspect of creatress, creator. So I just say creation. All right. All right. It's just giving accounts of creation myths, like stories about how creation started. That's just like in the Bible, it has a creation story, how everything was created, right? And so it goes on to give you more, but I will tap into this more. I'm going to do a special video about spirituality and culture. But this now, women are nurturers. This video is dedicated to powerful, wise, nurturing women chiefs of the Powhatan Chiefdom and the Anianwaya, the Tsalagi, Kitawagi, Cherokee Nation. All right, Cherokee Chiefdom. All right, I mentioned my ancestor, WeroansquaCockacoeske, Powhatan, and then Wilma Mankiller of the Cherokee Nation. I have Powhatan blood and I have ancient blood, what the people are now called the Cherokee people. Y'all know the word Cherokee was made up, just so y'all know. So I say the ancient people of the Cherokee Nation. All right, I have their blood rolling through my veins too. Okay, so I am honoring these powerful women warrioress chiefs. Okay, so all right, let's see. Okay, they often associated an aspect of the sun with fire, especially the sacred temple fire or the household earth. Okay, hearth. All right. Okay. Now it says just as Oki may have been overlapped with the great hair in some regards, so too may the great hair, an unnamed female divinity, have been equivalent to the sun. So they're talking about, it seems like they didn't totally grasp it, but they tried to grasp the feminine and the masculine aspects that complement, that have balance in spirituality systems that predate the English settler invaders' little culture and religions. Okay. So it talks about they associate the sun with the creation of the world or of culture, claiming that it was a life force and sometimes even an ancestor. They often equated it with fire, especially the sacred temple fire or the household hearth. Okay, the Powhatans swore oaths by placing one hand on the heart and pointing with the other to the sun. They were pointing towards the heavens. Okay. Sometimes they swore by the paramount chief, which is Maman at Towik. All right. That is the paramount chief. So whoever the paramount chief is, they would swear by the paramount chief. Okay. Possibly suggesting an equivalence between the two. So basically, the paramount chief flows and has the power within them of great mystery and great spirit. Okay. So it also talks about, another account describes the Powhatans worshiping aspects of the creation, the sun, either at sunrise or sunset, by making a circle of dried tobacco on the ground, sitting or kneeling within it, and praying to the heavens. They say to the sun with outstretched arms, contorted faces, and even foaming at the mouth that suggests trance-like state. They said foaming at the mouth. I believe this is some bullshit that they inserted, okay? Now, these English settler invaders, they are so dead. Have you, no disrespect, but have you been to, like, Catholic churches and Protestant churches? They so dry and seem dead, right? But if you go to a Native American church, a pure Pentecostal church, a non-denominational church, the spirit of creator, creatress is on fire in there because it's in the people and it's activated when the people get together and they are trying to pay homage to the creator or creatress in the way that they know how to do, the best way that they know how to do. Okay. And so these English settler invaders, they don't understand the spirit raising up in the indigenous person, the people of color. They don't understand that. So they're going to say, oh, they had outstretched arms and contorted faces and foaming at the mouth in a trance-like state. They don't understand that shit because they were hollow, empty, evil people. Okay, these English invaders. So I'm just reading to y'all an account and I'm interpreting what they should have wrote on here. Okay, I'm giving y'all an account of this. Okay, so basically, what they're trying to describe is they used sacred tobacco. Sacred tobacco represents feminine and masculine aspects of the creator. It mirrors aspects of the creator, creatress. So they put sacred dried tobacco in a circle and they set in the middle of the circle. And that was a sacred space for them to honor the creatress, creator, great mystery, great spirit, what y'all call God. They had a moment where they honored God. Okay. They honored creatress, creator. All right. Just so y'all know. All right. And these English, European invader settlers didn't understand our ancestors' powerful indigenous spirituality and culture, our ways, our practice, our sacred practices. All right. All right. It goes on to say the Saponis, which are the Eastern Blackfoot, like the Powhatans, they recognized a supreme creator God and had a number of helper spirits. All right. Now it just points out the similarities and the differences. All right. Okay. Now the Saponi Indians, they believe that this world was just the most recent of many created by the creator, creation. All right. Previous ones having either disappeared or been destroyed. The Saponis also credit their God with rewarding the virtuous among them with health and wealth, while liars and cheats suffered from hunger and chronic illnesses. All right. Then goes on to talk about the shamans. All right. The Kawio Kasuk, or shamans, were the most important men and women in Powhatan society. Weroances or Weroancesquas or chiefs were obligated to seek the approval or wisdom or guidance or advice from the shamans before engaging in most important activities. It was the shaman's obligation to secure such approval from the spirits. So the shamans were like the middle women and men that contacted the spiritual realm of creation and spirit guides to give them guidance. All right. And they tapped in and they were in like a trance like state. How a person looks when they are quote unquote receiving the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit is already in you. It's just being activated on another level and giving you messages and giving you like this awakening experience. Okay. So they said that an entranced shaman, they could speak in an ancient language. They could shout in an ancient language, or they could make different sounds like howling. And they trying to, throw shade on this practice. All right. They would sweat when they would be in the spirit. Okay. So yes, they had different facial expressions. They sweated. They really tapped in. If you going hard and you tapping into the spirit, you're going to be sweating too. All right. Sometimes the shamans did this alone in the forest, other times in the holy temple. All right. Sometimes several shamans conducted rituals together. All right. While most adult Powhatan men conversed with with the gamekeeping Oki, the Kawayo also conferred on behalf of the chiefdom with Oki and all other spirits. Okay, they saw their role as divining. Okay, divining the cause of whether it's you lived a life pleasing to creation or displeasing to creation. All right. Now, sometimes when people weren't acting right, natural disasters happen, social misfortunes, and things of that nature. All right. Like thieves and all that shit. All right. Those shamans tapped into the weather and even located elusive game for hunters. All right. Shamans also served as doctors, approaching patients in a trance, shaking a rattle over their bodies, and singing and chanting. Okay, our ancestors used powerful words in our native tongues, singing and chanting words of power that could heal our ancestors. All right. Sometimes they did a symbolic sucking the patient's disease out of the body and destroying it in a fire. All right. It's a symbolic type thing. They did this. This is spiritual healing. They also administered herbs and roots for healing, just so y'all know. So I'm here to clear it up and set the record straight. All right. That's what I'm here for. They got the right one. They got the right one. All right, I just had to check my. All right, so. All right, this is just an overview of some of the spiritual practices and culture of my indigenous ancestors, tribes, nations, chiefdoms. Okay. All right. So I am qualified by, first of all, creation, powerful great mystery, powerful great spirit, my ancestors and my spirit guides. And I come from these bloodlines of the Powhatan chiefdom and the ancient peoples of the Cherokee Nation. All right. I have their blood in my veins, in my DNA. So I'm qualified to speak on it. All right. So put some respect on my ancestors' spirituality and culture. All right. So, they just go on. Y'all can go to this site if y'all want to look at more. Now I do want to show this. This is the mantle, or like the seal of the big brother, my 12 times great grandfather's mantle, Chief Powhatan. All right. All right. This looks like two animal spirits, and then a man in the middle. Okay. Now it says, The most important Quiocasin was the Musak in Pamunkey territory, a few miles west of the paramount chief, Powhatan's capital at Weroancesqua. 7 Cockacoeske shamans lived there and appear to have carried out rituals for all of the Tsinakamoko, all right, rather than just a single chiefdom. So for all the Tsinakamoko, the Powhatans and allied tribes within the Powhatan chiefdom in the Virginia part of the top part of Maryland, that area. Okay. So by all these rivers, okay, the Mattapony rivers, all the rivers that I mentioned earlier, okay. All right. Near the Quiocasin was another large structure housing Powhatan's accumulated wealth, including deerskins, pearl, shell beads, puccoon root, copper, some of which would be used to preserve his body after death. They also had wampum and other things, okay? The Quiocasin at Musak was such a holy place that common folk who were never allowed to enter in it. They were never allowed to enter it, all right? They would throw offerings of tobacco, puccoon, and shell beads into the water as they passed nearby along the river. So this was the sacred place. My ancestors convened at this sacred place. Okay. All right. Then they speak on some of the Powhatan rituals. Okay. Ritual offerings are sacrifices in order to and I'm paraphrasing. All right. So we kind of read this and they're kind of like repeating it over and over. All right. It was a metaphorical sacrifice when they said different rituals were done. You had coming of age rituals. The women had their rituals. The men had their rituals, and then as a collective people had our sacred spirituality and cultural practices. Okay. All right. Only shamans and chiefs expected an afterlife, according to this article. But no, our ancestors expected an afterlife. All right. Now, they say some located the land of the dead to the west with the setting of the sun, and while others put where the great hair is, where the sun rises in the east. Okay. And the great hair, you have a Honey, the great hair, which is an unknown name of a female divinity. Okay. Now, later, our ancestors incorporated Christian practices because they were forced to convert to Christianity and they were coerced to incorporate some of the Christianity practices. All right. Uh, i.e., you have the Native American church. There's a numerous variety of different practices, okay, and including some Christianity practices that have crept in there, okay. So just do your research, okay, find out the origin of these different practices. And it just talks about how the Monacan Indians built large burial mounds, okay. All right. The mound builders. Okay. They practice a secondary burial in which the dead are placed into temporary graves, usually until only the bones remain. After that, which they are deposited into permanent graves. This probably happened every 5 years or so. when an extended social group, such as a clan or a village, gathered to honor and bury together everyone who had died in the interim. All right. Now they talking about conjuration and dance. Okay. This John Smith saw this account, so I'm interpreting what he should have freaking wrote down. All right. So he describes a detail of two other Powhatan religious ceremonies. All right. He saw this during December with a hunting party by the Pamunkey chief, Weroancesqua. All right. My great grandfather, 12 times great grandfather, Ope Chinkana, he captured John Smith. He's on record for capturing John Smith. Okay. Anyway, it talks about in an effort to conjure whether Smith's intentions were friendly, Ope Chinkana gathered his 7 highest ranking shamans, Kawio Kosuk, all right, near or at Uta Musak. That's the sacred place that everybody just couldn't enter. All right. The ceremony lasted 3 12-hour days with a feast punctuating the end of each day, while his subordinates who wore red and black, meaning his men or his women, the braves, the warriors, they wore red and black. The leading shaman was painted in all black. Okay, so the shamans wore red and black. He wore a headdress of stuffed snake skins, weasels, and other animals, all tied together at the tails and placed so that their skins fell down all around his head and face, their tails. Okay. Meanwhile, formed a tassel at the top of his head to create a model of their world. The shamans drew 3 or 4 concentric rings around the central fire. The first made using cornmeal, all right, to represent their own country, Tsinakamoko. Outer rings of corn kernels represented the seacoast, and rings of the short and smooth sticks denoted the English. So they used, in this form of conjuration, spiritual divination, they used outward symbols of cornmeal, corn kernels, and smooth sticks, short, smooth sticks, okay, to represent the enemy, okay? All right, the English invader settlers. All right. After each part of the ceremony was accomplished, the shamans sang and they shook the rattles. Okay. The Powhatans determined that Smith's intentions were friendly. Now, note, his intentions were friendly at first, they say. Okay. And then later, his people that he was with, they were bloodthirsty and hungry to invade and take over people. All right. Now, these John Smith and some of the other little people, they were exploring and they wanted to trade and barter. And some of their management, it was their intentions, ugly intentions, to invade and take over and kill and murder. All right, these invader English settlers. Okay. Now, all right, so he also said it was to call on, basically to call on spiritual help to help them make decisions. All right. This is a depiction of a festive dance. All right. Now, he talks about another spiritual ceremony that took place in autumn 1608. All right. A party. Okay. Now, they were in Weroancesqua with the intention of presenting the paramount chief Powhatan with a number of gifts, including a crown. Wearing male garb, including green branches or leaves, otter skins, and antlers. About 30 young women danced for and about an hour around a large fire. All right. They carried bows and clubs and were painted like warriors. All right. Afterward, the women changed into their ordinary dress, but they had on different regalia when they did these sacred dances. All right. They invited Smith into a common house. He couldn't go into the sacred house. Okay. Oh, wait a minute. They are really reaching. I'm getting upset. We're not even going to read this. We're going to X this shit out. I'm not even going to utter these words. But he went to this dance, this sacred dance. But he was confused. It says this. Smith was confused by the ceremony because he don't understand the sacred things of indigenous peoples. He's speculating, writing down in his journal, and then somebody else is regurgitating the shit. So I'm here to correct the shit. All right. He didn't understand the sacred dances of the women. All right. The powerful, passionate, spiritually passionate dances of the women. All right. The Powhatans celebrate the harvest. All right. In these ceremonies. Okay. Some dancers, like the chiefs, wore antlers on their heads, suggesting that the dance may have been intended to invoke the blessing of the spiritual realm, okay, during hunting season, that they have a good hunting season, and great spirit, great mystery honors them by giving them a lot of food to feed the people, food and crops of squash, corn, and beans, okay, the three sisters. All right, I'm paraphrasing and giving y'all the real. All right, so this was a little excerpt from this site. All right, Encyclopedia Virginia. So there were some true items in this entry, and then some that was fabricated and a lot of misnomers in there. All right, but this is the sacred seal of the Powhatan Chiefdom Nation Confederacy Federation. All right, they use all these words. All right, so this is just to give you a little overview. All right, and the Powhatans. All right, are represented by several chiefs, and this video has been dedicated to women chiefs of my bloodline ancestry. WeroansquaCockacoeske is my bloodline ancestor. Now, as far as I know, Wilma Mankiller is not my direct ancestor, but she is a part of the Cherokee Nation that I have bloodline ancestors that are part of the Cherokee Nation. Actually, the ancient tribes of the Cherokee Nation, because the word Cherokee was made up when they formed the 5 civilized tribes. See my previous video when they came up with all of these different misnomers and misclassifications and caste systems, because they wanted to get rid of the Indian and Christianize us and make us white. Okay, they wanted to whitewash everything. These eugenics supporters and white supremacists. So I am honoring the women chiefs of the tribes of my ancestors. And in particular, this is one of my direct ancestors. All right. WeroansquaCockacoeske. We share a great grandfather who is one of the great war chiefs and once paramount chief, Ope Chenkana, Weroancesqua Opechenkana, who is also her grandfather. All right. So I touched on Chief Cockacoeske and Wilma Mankiller. So I give much respect. I show much respect to them because they stood for something. They represented us well as the feminine of the human race. Okay. So I love when women represent with balance and women leaders that are for our people. I love it. So I salute them. So if you have any questions, comments, get at me or rjxitips.com. You could leave a comment on the video. You could send me a direct message. We can dialogue. It just depends. Come at me respectfully and I may respond, all right, when I have time. So I love y'all. I want to send a Asheo. And I'm saying, Wado, Yakoki, Shonabish Chi, to my powerful ancestors, spirit guides, and my fellow cousins, all my relations out there on Turtle Island. All right, representing the spirituality and culture of our ancestors, the fire keepers, the fellow fire keepers, keeping the flame lit of the spirituality and culture of our ancestors. So shout out to you all. I love y'all. I'm ending this video now. Peace.